Now, when I say campaign, I'm not talking about Halo or Call of Duty. I'm talking about a campaign as far as a game plan that an artist and their team uses to promote and market their music. And that's where playlistsupply.com comes in. Playlistsupply.com is the number one database online for artists trying to get on playlists. See, a lot of you may not have that team. You may not have those people working with you towards the same goal. But Playlist Supply is there to be a team member, helping you cut out the middleman and go directly to all of the tastemakers in charge of these Spotify playlists. Let's check it out. Now that we're in playlistsupply.com, let me show you how this thing works. So as you see, when we go to the home page, we're greeted by a search bar because all this simply is just a search engine for playlist. And we have 6 different options. But before we get into those options, what can I search for? If you have a certain artist that your music is similar to, if you have a certain vibe or certain mood or certain genre or certain activity like workout or sleeping, then you can type in those terms to narrow down your search. And to narrow it down even further, say for instance, you want to find trap. If I search trap, it's going to bring in hundreds of playlists. And so how I would narrow that down is I do an email search. So let's do an email search for trap. That means that the only results that they will give me are playlists that have a direct email that I can reach out to. While we're waiting on our search to finish, I want to explain these other icons. You see next to the email search, there's the broad search. This is going to net results regardless if they have an email contact or a social media contact. This one is probably not as useful as the next 3. The next one is social media. So if you use a social media search, you will only get results of people that have social media that you can reach out to. Say, for instance, you find somebody and it has their Twitter handle. You follow them on Twitter and you reach out directly to them via direct message. They'll have that information. Similar artist. If you have a similar artist that your music is kind of close to, you could also type in that name. Like you could type in Usher and it's going to bring you playlists that fit that criteria. Now, the bigger the artist, the better. If you pick a smaller artist, it's going to not bring very many results. So the bigger the artist, the better results you'll get on a similar artist search. Next is the Instagram search. The Instagram search is just going to give you results of people on IG, people that you can follow and talk to and connect and DM on IG. No email results, no Twitter results. So you have a lot of options when you're narrowing it down. If you're a guy that only uses email or only wants to reach out through email, you can do that search. If you're more comfortable with Instagram, you can do that search. Let's talk about the most important search on Playlist Supply, which is the organic search. Playlist Supply's organic playlist search indexes Spotify's high quality discovered on playlists. Okay, these are the best of the best playlists. They're the most organic and targets them directly, finding you contact information for the best playlist. These playlists have high traffic and are a top source for new fans. You can now search by any artist name and Playlist Supply will gather all discovered on playlists and their playlist owner's contact info directly from the artist page. Spotify's discovered on playlists are high traffic playlists that are the top sources of artist discovery. Now that we have our search results, let's see how many playlists we got under trap. 524 different playlists that fit my criteria, and they all have an email that I can contact in order to get my music on the playlist. So what we're going to do is pick 3 different playlists, and then we'll put them in our playlist database, and then we'll see where the real magic is. In our search results, everything is sorted by name, the number of followers of the playlist, the number of tracks on the playlist, who owns the playlist, and their links, whether that be their social media or their website, their social media handle, and their email address. So if you wanted to just sort it by, let's say, followers, I want to see which one has the most followers. And at the top, we got 1,000,008, 1,000,006, 122,000. That's a lot of followers. That's a lot of exposure. And you see the number of tracks for these big playlists have, they're in the hundreds. I'm going to go for something a little bit more modest. And let's see. I like this one that says Hot Hits. It's 54,000 followers and it only has 54 tracks. I have a better chance to get my track listened to in the shuffle. All right. I like this one that has Dark Rap, 48,000 followers and 42 tracks. And let me pick one more. Trap House Music, 46,000 followers and 30 tracks. All right. So what I'm going to do now that I picked those three, I'm going to save them to my playlist database. Now that we're in our playlist database, we see the three playlists that I picked. And with two of those playlists, we have social media handles. And with all three of them, we have email address. Now, if we look to the right, we see the description of the playlist. This one, trap, hip hop, rap, Young Thug, Travis Scott, 21 Savage. If my music fits in with that lane, this is a good playlist. But if we look all the way to the right, you see something that says health check and history. Now, we're going to run a health check on the first one, and I'm going to explain what a health check is, okay? This score shows how many artists feature their playlist in their discovered on section. This is an indicator of real traffic, artist discovery, and algorithmic reach. Anything above 0% suggests some organic value. A 0% score usually means that the playlist drives no discovery and should be skipped. So basically what that means is the higher the score, the more organic, the more legit the playlist is. So say for instance, you got 100 playlists. You picked 100 playlists and put them in your database. And you don't want to waste your time and your energy sending 100 emails. You're going to run a health check and it's going to let you know if it's even worth your time. All right. So we're waiting on the score for this hot hits one that has 54,000 followers. Okay, so the score is 41%. 41% is actually good because it's not zero. So this is one that I would spend my energy on trying to reach out. Now, if you look over, it says history. What the history does is the history basically is going to show you how the playlist has done over time. If we see any crazy dips, just like this, you see these ups and downs, For me, that's a little alarming because that shows that there may be bot activity, where the numbers was high and then it dropped, the numbers was high and then it dropped. So with this one, I'm kind of sketchy about this one. Let's do a history check on this one to see. What you want to see is basically a incline of followers and listeners over time. That shows you that it's healthy. Like this one, having this big spike, I don't really trust that. Let's do this last one. Yes, process it. We want to find ones that show that they grow, because as our song is on the playlist, then more and more people will check it out. And all three of these did not show great history. What I would simply do is just go back to the search and I would find more results. Now, me personally, I'm not just gonna pick three. I'm gonna pick like 20 of them to find. Let's try to pick some more. We got Gangster City. We got The Beast. We got Raw Trap, Trap and Bass, Trunk Shakers. All right, let's add those to the database. And we're gonna run a health check on these. Now, as you can see on this chart, this is more of what we're looking for. We don't want to see any big jumps or big dips because that shows bot activity. That shows that it's something fishy. Something like this where it built up over time from January 2020 to January 2023. And even though it's on a kind of slow decline, it still shows that it's healthy. It still shows that it has a loyal following that keeps listening to it, and it's still active. And that's the most important thing. And so what I would do now on that same one is run a health check just to make sure everything is on point. And while we're waiting on that, I want to tell you guys, the reason why this is super important is because you're either going to have to pay a company to submit your music, pay a company to do what you can do right here directly, or you'll just have to sit on the sidelines and try to free organic content your way into getting listeners. This is a direct line into those listeners, people that are looking for a certain type of music, a certain genre, a certain mood. And if your music is good and it fits the bill, you have an opportunity to get in front of new listeners. Now with this one, it has a 26% score. Now, even though 26% isn't 100%, it's still good. It still shows that, hey, this is organic. Playlist Supply has options as low as $19.99 for the first month. This is beautiful because, hey, you may not always be in album promotion mode, but when it's time to get in that mode, you sign up with playlistsupply.com. You get a database, you get a list of emails that you can reach out to and submit to, and then whenever you need it again, just tap back in. But it's super, super duper helpful because it cuts out that middleman that's going to charge you a lot of money to do what you could just basically do on your own with somebody's email or somebody's Twitter handle. I want to shout out to playlistsupply.com for sponsoring this video, and I hope this video was of value to you guys. I'll catch you on the next one. Peace out.